So what makes a bad coach? Well, first of all, not knowing what a coach is. I know so many coaches that think they're coaches, they tell me they're coaches, that are actually consultants or teachers or trainers. The difference is a coach asks questions and everybody else, a consultant, a mentor, a trainer, they give people information and give people advice. A bad coach talks at people, telling them what to do, which is not what they're here for. A good coach, well, there's another video about that, so you can learn what a good coach is, but a good coach doesn't talk at people, doesn't tell them what to do, doesn't dominate the conversation, doesn't let their ego get in the way. A bad coach would also not care about their client. It's obviously important to have empathy and to do your best to support someone when they're in a difficult time. A bad coach would not see it as time on a clock, and it's like, and if they're getting into a serious, deep part that's really emotive and really important, of course, you've got to honor your time boundaries at some points, but at some points, you may decide to discretionally allow them an extra few minutes if possible, if that client needs it. But you don't want to be right, your time's up now, Sheila. See you next week. A bad coach wouldn't check in on their client in between sessions. How you doing? How's things been since our session? Show them that you're not just forgetting about them and waiting for that 1 hour time slot and 2 minutes before remembering their name and who they even are. A bad coach would be unethical in their approach in terms of telling people to do things which they shouldn't be doing in the first place and not living by the same guidelines themselves, i.e. telling people how to go and build their business and do sales calls and stuff like that and then be scared about doing that for themselves, Unethical. A bad coach is anybody that hasn't been trained by the coaching masters. And I'm joking. Where am I? To be honest, it's obvious when a coach is bad because they don't get results for their clients. And you can sense it in the energy. You can tell when a person cares. You won't necessarily know whether or not they've had the right training or not because you might not have anything to compare it to. But for the large part, it's obvious when someone's being inauthentic. It's obvious when someone doesn't care. And if they're dominating the conversation and telling you what to do and not respecting your opinion, and in coaching, there shouldn't even be an opinion. It's always the client's, whatever the client says is correct because it's about them. But you should know what a bad coach is. But go out and have a few coaching sessions. Go out and experience some. Get a range of different people so that you can create that spectrum and that perspective and go, like that one was a good one because I felt something when she did that. That was bad because they did that and I really didn't like that. And if you're a coach, that will allow you to ensure that you do the things with your clients that you did like and don't do the things that you didn't like. For example, when I used to get counseling, although this is actually part of their not confidentiality, but part of their agreement within the prison, because I actually first got some counseling in prison. And I still to this day don't know whether or not this was because she wasn't allowed to or because she didn't care. But two things happened. One, we'd have counseling conversations and I would just want her opinion on things sometimes. And you're not supposed to do that as a counselor. But if you request it and the client wants it, you are allowed to. But because I was in the prison system, I guess she wasn't allowed to disclose much information. But I really didn't like the fact that she wasn't prepared to share anything about her. Yes, I understand that she doesn't want to tell me about where she lives or the name of her kids. But I was like, this is a situation I'm in. I'd love to know what you would do in a situation like that. She's like, I can't say. What do you think you should do? And it was a little bit too pure. We call that pure coaching, even though it was counseling. I think there should be some elements of malleability in terms of adapting to our clients' needs, wants, and desires. And the other thing she did that really didn't like is I was walking through the prison, what would you call it? Can't remember what they call it, but I was walking around the prison. You can do that when it's unlocked, not when it's unlocked, but there's certain movements where you move between like your education and you're back to your cell and certain things, and you move around and you congregate and you see people and you see staff and things like that. And I saw my counsellor and she just walked straight past me, didn't acknowledge I exist. And do you know what? It's only just occurred to me that she did that because she knows that if she was to bring awareness to the fact that I was I've just had a breakthrough myself here in this channel. Because if she'd have gone, oh, hey, Lewis, how are you feeling since our session? Around the inmates, that would have made me seem vulnerable and put me at risk. So she had to pretend that she didn't know me. So it was a misunderstanding. But I tell you where she did go wrong on reflection is she didn't make the boundaries very clear. I didn't really understand what our relationship was, what the dynamic was, what was appropriate and what wasn't appropriate, what would happen if I did see her outside of a session, or what she can and cannot share. And because I didn't understand, I took it the wrong way, and I took it as this person doesn't care about me. This person is just doing this for the money. And That was the wrong belief, but it was a misunderstanding. And these things happen all the time, which is why coaching is so powerful. I essentially coached myself there by accident. They don't lay down the boundaries. It's very important for a coach to explain to the client what a coach is, what a coach isn't, what a boundary is, and have an agreement. The International Coaching Federation, one of their core competencies is that you have an agreement at the beginning of every new relationship with a client. And that's a contract that's actually signed. And there's also a conversation that takes place where these things are discussed. And that's actually what I didn't get access to when I was in prison. And maybe there was a reason for that I'm not aware of. But rambled on a little bit. If you're a coach, don't do any of those things. If you're looking for a coach and they're doing any of those things, find somebody else. I hope this was helpful in some weird way. Don't forget to subscribe, and I look forward to speaking to you on the next video. Cheers, guys.